So this is my 82 Imperial, and I just brought it back home. It was sitting for 27 years, since 1993, and it's an oldie, and the man I bought it from was the original owner, and he bought it brand new. In fact, I still have the original title for it. Well, long story short, I got it for basically almost free, and I'm only taking this video in the evening because, well, I just got it home, and I'm pretty excited about it. So this still has the original EFI, running great. I just took it for a test drive, the first drive it's been on since, well, 1993. So it's been out of here for about since March, or early April when I bought it. Maybe it was March. I think it's early April. And long story short is that the shop had it and they were working on it, and finally got it back, and it's November the 30th. And obviously it needs to be detailed, but these are actually new tires, but the white walls need to be cleaned really bad. And it's a pretty good looking car. Most of these, as you know, have the EFIs ripped off of them because of them not being very reliable. This one, however, seems to be running pretty good. Obviously, we did some modifications to it. We put an external pump instead of an internal because the externals are not available. Internals are not available anymore. And I got lucky and have a bunch of EFI parts, and so we were able to put those on the car. So I want to go ahead and just show you around. A few months ago I did a video of the car, and so I'm now going to do another one. And after it's cleaned up, I'll get some good pictures of it. Obviously we have leather that's worn out here, but for the most part it's in pretty good shape. The back seat's excellent, it just needs cleaning. And the carpet's really pretty. It's a blue. It's a really nice blue color. And the door panels are two-tone. Need to be cleaned, obviously. And the dash is in excellent shape. Still working. There's a tape stuck inside. I'm going to try to get that out. And I got a dash mat for it because the dash is perfect. There's a couple dents on the hood because it sat in the man's garage for many years. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. We'll see how it is after we buff it out. But the carpet's immaculate. It's really nice. And the steering wheel's in excellent shape too. There's only a couple little cracks on it. This does have 43,000 miles on it, even though it has the asterisk, which signifies that the cluster's been changed out. Those miles are indeed true, based upon the sticker on the door. I think it's actually 46,000. It was changed at 3,000 miles. And it was only because the cluster was no good, not because it was a swap out for the EFI system, because when I got it, it still had the EFI system. And on the door here, in the jamb, we have the Chrysler Corporation Mopar sticker signifying when it was changed. The stereo does work except for the tape player. The radio actually works fine. The antenna does not because it was bent. But this actually drives really nice. I'm very surprised. I'll get a video of it driving later after we get the windows cleaned and all that kind of thing. And all the digital stuff works on the dash. The buttons are a little finicky right now because they haven't been touched in years. But let's take a look under the hood. I'm just surprised how nice a condition this is in after all these years. And let's take a look under the hood. The headlights work, they open and close. The front will need to be cleaned up a little bit. Go ahead and put this down and open it up. On my previous video, I mentioned about how it was kind of loud. The old alternator was just shot. And I'll eventually get some better video during the day of the car running. But we have a new battery, new fuel injection parts that are not new, they're new to the car. New belts, hoses, radiator was recoiled, all the fluids changed, belts, alternator, you name it. The brakes were all serviced, new pads, new cylinders, we had the rotors turned, new tires. And so far so good, it's running great. And it fires right up, it doesn't have the usual EFI problem of having a hard time to start. It actually starts on the first turn. But it runs very smooth. One of the big problems is that at the mechanic shop they didn't get that you had to keep the top down on the air filter. And so they were trying to start it and it would just stall. So that problem's fixed. Just tightened up the air filter. But I'll get some better video tomorrow. But it runs very smooth. You can actually put your hand on here and you can barely feel it running. Put a new master cylinder on too. It was shot. Still needs a tailpipe. It's a little rusty. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Needs a really good cleaning because it's been out for months and months and months. But for close to free, it was a pretty good deal. And also because it has the original EFI, which is really cool. Obviously, we have a slightly brighter light there, probably a different bulb. Probably a different bulb there, so what can you do? The original paint's in very good shape. We're gonna hopefully do a paint correction on it. And it has a couple little rust spots here and there, but nothing big. The paint will probably outlast all the paint these days. So has the original pinstriping, which is really nice. There's some glue on the side here. I actually was able to get some of it off, so I'm pretty hopeful that we'll get the rest of it off. I love the blue pinstripe. I think it's great. I'll have to get it fixed up here. But the front apron will have to be painted in that. And then there's a couple little dents on the hood. There's one larger dent. This was in the man's shed for years. But the paint will no doubt clean up pretty well. Have to replace the antenna, unfortunately. But I drove it up and down the street. It seems to be in pretty good shape. And we flushed everything out. All the tank that was relined and just everything. We had to do it wasn't starting. And I said, well, take a look at the injectors. There's teeny tiny injectors. And they were able to clean them and it fired right up right away, which is pretty cool. There's really no secret to the EFIs at all. I have to get a new headliner, but there's really no secret to the EFIs. A lot of people are really scared to touch them, but if you follow the directions in the books, you're already halfway there. And as long as you have a whole bunch of parts, like I do, I have probably about 15 sets of everything for these cars, because I have the Sinatra one, which we're still dealing with a little bit of an issue on. I'm thinking it's probably the intake manifold gasket that's actually wrong with that one. This one has low miles on it still. That one had 145,000, and so we're still dealing with that issue, unfortunately. But what's cool is the opera lights still work, which is really cool. I have crystals to put in here. some replacement ones, so I'll get those on here once we clean it up. I'm gonna probably have to get the bottom parts of the seats recovered and the back of the other one. Thankfully, leather is a little easier to match than cloth. And it just runs and runs and runs great. And the last video that I took, it didn't sound as good because the alternator bearing was no good. And this is the EFI, which is crazy. But it had a hard time running initially, but the computer kept adjusting, and now it seems to be in a pretty good pattern. And this was actually the computer that was on the car when I got it, and that done the air sensor and everything. The only thing we had to change out was the hydraulic plate because the power module was no good. It was shot. And then we realized that the one pump was no good that we put on it, so they swapped out the pump. And then that's how we found that the thing was clogged. I just love the color of this interior. The blue with the white. So we'll take some more video tomorrow during the day, maybe after I get it cleaned up a little bit. And I'll post that too. And then of course we'll get a video of it driving, which is pretty good. I'm hoping to get a tailpipe on it and get it smogged so I can get it all registered. I have a pass on it right now, but I want to make sure that it's up to date and we're good to go. But she seems to be running pretty good. There's no vibration or anything. It's pretty crazy. And that is my '82 Imperial, alive after 27 years.